What's your biggest, non-sexual, fantasy? I can travel back in time to when I was in like 2nd grade and try my life over again knowing what I know now. It always starts with me telling my parents to buy stock in Apple lol. You should also invest your $5 allowance in Bitcoin. This is what I want and still kinda want but can't do because my sister was born when I was 21. 12 years later I could not trade her existence for all the personal happiness in the world. To be yearned for. I love the verb yearn. Have you ever yearned, Jerry? I love the verb yearn too. It was in a line I had in a play I did in 4th grade. I didn't know what it meant before this. Good memories. I'd absolutely love to be a magical warrior with mystical companions and familiars, a dragon, and living in a magical world with magical creatures. Biggest fantasy since 3rd grade. Lol. This is my fantasy as well. I used to sit in my room and stare out my window wishing a portal would open and my favorite characters from my favorite books would jump out of the portal and tell me that they needed my help. I'd pack the essentials, then jump through the portal with them that led me to their world and I'd never look back. I'm 32 now and I still fantasize about that sometimes. Oh yes. Since I read Magician by Feist when I was about 10. Let's go on an epic fucking quest, yo. When I'm in the shower I like to imagine what it would be like to be famous and interviewed by Oprah. Oprah would ask if I always thought I would be famous and I would answer that I would stand in my shower thinking if I was ever famous I would be interviewed by Oprah. I get stuck in this thought loop until the water turns cold. It's 40 minutes later and I haven't scrubbed myself yet. Same but my interviewers alternate between Mark Maron and Terry Gross. Oh my god, I have that exact same problem when I shower except I imagine having a conversation with someone, then telling them that I predicted we would have this conversation. Then I imagine telling them that I imagined telling them about thinking of the conversation in the shower, and how I imagined telling them about that. And then I get stuck in a loop until I snap out of it. Does this have a name? To run and dance naked under the sprinklers at a big broccoli farm. This is oddly specific. Gets so satisfying the way the water droplets collect on wet broccoli. Sometimes, I imagine being able to get my own cozy apartment and do things like raising cats, cooking and sewing. I could try new things like gardening as well. Just a quiet, peaceful life without stress or worries. Mine is in a similar vein. Quiet, peaceful life. Even the sewing, cooking and critters is on point for me. I take my fantasy a little further. I live in the country in a small house with a lot of natural light and with no one around and I can hear birds in the morning and silence instead of cars. Here to the coziest of fantasies. Less than 3. Okay yo Shikage. I've always wanted to have a popular webcomic. I can make funny jokes, although not consistently, and I can draw to a reasonable standard but I don't think I'm quite good enough to make stuff people would actually want to read. Still, if I lose too many shifts from the coronavirus outbreak, maybe I'll give it a crack and see what happens. Go for it. No webcomic is 100% zingers. Everyone has jokes that fall flat. And drawing ability doesn't matter much as long as your art is consistent. XKCD has gotten by with stick figures for years now. If you do it then make a subreddit and I'll subscribe. To be loved. Hope you find love one day, /u/pm_nudes_raw_pets. Same. Also, I'm just so fucking touch starved, I dream of one day having someone to cuddle with. Move to Ireland and live on one of those gorgeous country landscape, away from society. Like the opening scene from Father Ted? Yes. I want to own a pub in the countryside and raise vegetables behind my cottage and play the piano for the drunken masses. Living in the Star Trek universe where there is no money and we all pursue what interests us. Food, shelter, healthcare and education are all free and we all try and get along. The whole planet. total fantasy, but that's what I would love to have happen. I came here to say this and you beat me to it. But definitely pre-reboot era Star Trek, which went a little haywire in that regard. More than the whole planet. It is a true utopia. That I actually get to play D&D instead of DM. If I could, I'd invite you to a session where you could play 2 chicks at the same time. I'd love to have 2 freshly hatched chicks to gently snuggle and pet, cause I just think they're so cute. I wanted the same, ended up with a big cock instead, woke me up early every morning, but I loved that rooster. As someone who has nursed 2 fresh, still wet baby chicks that were abandoned and left out in the cold by mama, can say it is very endearing and satisfying. They will forever remember being cuddled up to you and be big babies for you even when they're adults. 10/10 it's a fantasy that doesn't fall short. Writing and publishing a book. Grandiose, but maybe one day. It starts with writing. Focus on that, and once it's written you can explore the publishing options. The publishing part is probably going to be easier than writing and finishing and editing the book and all that jazz. So do that part for you. Write what you want and find the story you want to tell. Go for it. Getting food today. I vote for this person's fantasy to come true first. Can you get delivery? I can throw in a few dollars, kind of broke. Playing my music in an arena to tens of thousands of rabid fans. My similar fantasy always dealt with making a great song that people loved and was epic, but I could never actually think about the performing part without such high levels of panic, and that's what made teenage me realize I wasn't cut out to be a rock star. I can play pretty good, but that goes out the window if anyone is visibly watching. I am not a performer and absolutely don't want to be on stage. Having omnitrix. Seriously, I used to bribe God's statue by giving him fake money and asking for omnitrix when I was 8 to 9 years old. This reminds me of how I used to pray almost every day to live in the world from a book series I read when I was a kid. Sure enough, an RPG's based off the game came out, so I got to put my own character in the story. I wrote a book about solving world problems in your own home. I fantasize that 100 million people will read it. What are some of your favorite points that we can start while in quarantine? Haha. I've been writing a book on and off for about 6 years now. My fantasy is to finish it and have it become a Hunger Games style hit with young adults, then become a movie. I would be heavily involved in the movie and John Bernthal would play one of my main characters and then we become friends. When I'm feeling extra silly, I imagine winning Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars and crying in front of millions of people watching while I tell them that regular people can make magic too. I don't care about being mega rich. But to live comfortably, financially, in a cozy house with lots of animals and a job I love is a dream of mine. This is just all a horrible dream and I will eventually wake up in a utopia. Escapism? Well, because of my current situation, quarantine and rain, I'm gonna have to say warm summer weather, getting out in my favorite sundress, eating homemade tacos in the yard with my friends, some Elton John on my Bluetooth speaker, laughing and having a good time. There's a golden evening glow on everything, and the atmosphere is heavenly. That's what I've been fantasizing about. Sounds very relaxing. Holy moly. Are you me? Can we be friends? That sounds like paradise. That my sister can get herself and her family their own home. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.